What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Baby J, Jalen the Alien, the Zodiac Queen, whatever you would like to call me. I'm all game. I'm all for it. Welcome to the family. Subscribe if you want to join my community, my family. Check your girl out. You know, we post all about astrology and spirituality here on this channel. And, you know, definitely subscribe and like this video up because it helps me so much. Like, support a young entrepreneur, support a young spiritual, you know, person out here just trying to do their thing out here in the world. So I appreciate you in advance. But you know, today I want to talk about the houses in astrology because this is something that a lot of people have requested of me like over the last few months. Yo, can you please make a video on the houses? I'm a little bit confused when it comes to the houses in astrology, which is really important because houses are really very important when it comes to understanding your birth chart and really personalizing your birth chart, because you know, a lot of people could be born on March 21st 1997, but we're all going to be born at different times on March 21st 1997. So if one person's born at 7 o'clock and the other person's born at 2 o'clock, we're going to have different house placements, and that's what it helps go into even more personalizing our birth chart. So our birth chart is just a screenshot of the sky at the exact time that we came out of our parents' vaginas. Okay, at the exact moment when we popped out, that is basically a screenshot of all the planets in the solar system. And with this being said, you can look at that and you can look at your birth chart and you can see all about yourself, your personality, your life, your family's life, your future family's life, and all of these things. How you can make money, how you can manifest. These are things that we can see using the birth chart because it literally is just a physical or symbolic representation of you and your life. So understanding the houses is incredibly important because the houses in the birth chart represent different areas of our lives. And like this circle, as you can see, this is the birth chart. This is what it looks like. Notice all the different houses, okay? And the houses are basically represented by the different numbers. This is the first house, the second house, the third house, the fourth house, and it just keeps on going around and around. And just like there is 12 signs in the zodiac, there is also 12 houses, and those houses actually correlate to those zodiac signs. It is not the exact same thing, but you will recognize certain distinguishing things between the houses. For example, you know, Taurus, it's the second sign in the zodiac, so Taurus actually rules over the second house. So when we think about the second house, we're thinking about money, we're thinking about our resources, we're thinking about how we generate wealth, we're thinking about our physical possessions and our values. A lot of the times when you look at Tauruses, they do have a fascination with money or building wealth, right? Stability, things that we can count on, security. These are all things that the second house rules over, but there is still a difference between Taurus and the second house. But why the houses are so important, just like I said, everybody knows their sun sign, everybody knows that you are a Pisces, everyone knows that you're a Leo, but what house is your sun in? Just like the sun loves to shine, right? The house that your sun is in is going to show you what area of your life are you going to shine the most. You have your moon, which is your emotions, your need for security. So the house that your moon is in is going to show you what you need in order to feel secure, what you need in order to feel emotionally all right in this life. Okay, you can go down to Mercury, your thought process, how you think, how you communicate. So the house that your Mercury placement is in is going to show you what you like to talk about, and what you like to think about, the different things that you're interested in that type of way. So we can go down to Venus. Venus is how we love. Your Venus placement is going to show you what you love, and how you flirt, and all these beautiful things. Even how you can make money in your life. That's one thing you can look at. So when you have Venus in the third house of communication, this is someone who's going to love to talk. This is someone who can get involved into the media, okay, and stuff of that nature. This is why houses are so important in astrology. You can do that with every single one of your planets, okay? Okay, y'all, so just to make sure you guys understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to do a live, like, look at a birth chart. I'm going to look at Oprah's birth chart. I like to look at birth charts on time passages. You can download that on the iPhone, or maybe on Android, I'm not sure, but you can definitely get it on your iPhone. And I just love to look at birth charts using time passages on my computer and on my phone, because I just like how it's set up. I like how it's crispy clear, and I could just see it, how it looks better to me. That's just my personal preference. But a lot of people can use a lot of different birth charts. You can use astroseek.com. Astro.com is a very popular one that people use to look at birth charts and stuff like that. The basics is, though, you want to know the planetary symbols of, the planets. You want to know the symbols associated with the planets, so you can basically look at the chart and see exactly where things are placed. But this is very simple. We have Oprah's chart right here. Now, you see all these numbers. You see the numbers that are on the outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and there's 12 houses, right? Those are your 12 houses. Now you see all the symbols that are inside of those houses. Those are the planets inside of the different houses. So when I say my sun is in the first house, I would basically be finding my sun in one of these houses of the first. So for example, in Oprah's chart, we look at where the sun is placed. So you see that little circle with a dot in between? That is the planetary symbol of the sun. So we see that her sun is placed in her second house. So if her sun is in her second house, what does the sun do? The sun shines, okay? The sun shines. So the sun is shining in her second house. So as we know, Oprah is one of the richest people of our society, in the world, in history, right? She's one of the richest people in history. The second house is associated with our money and our ability to generate wealth and abundance in our life. So we see that she has her sun in the second house, Mercury in the second house, Venus in the second house. We see that Oprah loves money, she gets money, and she's about making her money. She's about that coin. And this is reflected in her birth chart, where her focus is going to be in the second house manners. Now you can do this with any of your planets. You want to see where all of your planets are placed. She also has her Mars in the 11th house in Scorpio of gains. The 11th house is representative of our hopes, wishes, dreams, and desires, and our goals in life, and how we gain in life. So she has her Mars there. So she's about it. Mars is about how we go after things. Mars is about how we charge forth and go get what we want. So she's about getting her dreams. She's about making things happen. She's about bringing people together. That is what Oprah does, and that is how she's in the position that she is now. But like I said, you can see this in the birth chart by just simply looking at all the symbols and seeing where they are placed in your birth chart. And if you don't want to visually look at the birth chart like as the wheel or whatever the case is, you can get just a simple list of your planets and where they're placed. You can find that on AstroSeek. You can find that on Cafe Astrology. I know a lot of people use Cafe Astrology just to look at the list, and I think you can see your houses in Roman numerals or whatever the case is. Like, I don't really understand Roman numerals like that, so I don't like looking at the Cafe Astrology. I just like seeing it on the wheel because it's just easier for me. And you can also do that on astro.com. Your rising sign is always your first house, because your rising sign basically starts your whole entire chart, and that is what the first house represents, who you are and your identity. Okay, so I'm gonna just jump into all the 12 houses in astrology, starting with the first. And like I said, you want to basically look at your birth chart and see, oh, okay, my sun is in the first house. What does the first house mean? Oh, okay, my Venus is in the third house. What does that mean according to that? I feel like you guys can understand what the different planets in astrology basically represents. Sun is your identity, it's your ego, it's where you shine, it's where you put yourself out there, and it's what your entire chart revolves around. It lights up your entire chart. Your moon is your emotions, it's your hidden self, it's your intuitive self, it's your more subconscious self, it's your reactions in life. Mercury is how you think, how you process information, okay, what you think about and how you communicate. Mars is how you exert yourself, how you put yourself out there, and how you go basically get what you want, the actions that you make in life, okay? It's your drive, and also your sexuality and how that expresses too. Venus, which goes goes first actually. Venus is your love, okay? It's how you love, it's how you express your love, it's what you love, it's how you attract people towards you, it's where you are basically a magnet, okay? Venus is how you can magnetize others and how others are magnetized towards you, and vice versa. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of luck. It's where we're going to find our natural luck, our wisdom, the ability to just see lots of opportunities, okay, what we can learn more about. Following your Jupiter placement means basically expanding your horizons, and that could be materially, mentally, physically, spiritually, all that stuff. Saturn represents the area of our life that we can struggle with, our hard life lessons, the area of our life that requires discipline, something we really got to work at, you know what I'm saying, where we really have some issues, whatever house placement our Saturn is in, but it also is going to one day represent the area of our life where we can become an expertise, and Saturn is about reaping what you sow. So you can see a lot of big, huge gains in your Saturn placement, but first you might go through a little difficulty. So those are just the traditional planets. Uranus just basically represents our eccentric side, our more innovative side, our more progressive side. So the house that your Uranus placement is in is going to show you where you're a little weird, where you express things a little weird, like where things were a little weird in your life, or you know, just a little inventive or progressive. You know, your Neptune is going to show you basically where there could be an area of confusion, deception. You're not necessarily like, you don't necessarily see the things clearly wherever your, you know, Neptune placement is in. But like I said before, it also is a place in our lives where we can basically hypnotize people because it's associated with spirituality, magic, and elusiveness, okay? And Pluto is going to show us an area of our lives where there is this transformation occurring, you know, that transformative approach is going to happen when Pluto is in the picture, because Pluto represents death and rebirth. It represents transformation. It represents obsession. So we could see these things with our Pluto. So whatever house our Pluto is in could show us the things that we are obsessed with, the things that, you know, we can go from rags to riches. We can have like really transformative experiences with, where we die constantly and are reborn again. Okay, it's going to show us where we could have some difficulties. It could have showed us where we are basically, we want to control it too, because Pluto also does represent control. So the house that is in there can show you what you want to control and have authority in this lifetime, as well as your Saturn placement too, in a different way. But yeah, so your first house is going to represent your identity, okay, your physical appearance, your physical body, your goals in life, and the direction that you're headed in life. Like, what is this? Where are we trying to go when it comes to this life? What is something that you identify with? Any planets in the first house are actually going to be like, they're going to basically become a part of your identity. For example, if someone had their Venus in the first house, Venus represents love, beauty, attraction, and you put that in the first house of self. Naturally, these people are going to embody Venus. Venus is going to be present in their personality, because like I said before, your rising sign is like your first house, right? So naturally, you're going to appear to others as Venus. People are going to see you as beautiful. People are going to see you as charming. People are going to see you as seductive, or just someone that they want to be around. People are going to see you as Venus when they look at you, because Venus is in your first house. You are also probably going to be the type of person that identifies with Venusian things. You might like beauty a lot. You might like makeup. You might like feminine stuff. You might like seduction. You might just like these Venusian things. You might like money a lot, or luxury, because that's also what Venus represents. So putting any planet in your first house is basically, you want to look at the characteristics of that planet and what that planet is all about, and you're going to basically see that you are going to identify a lot with that planet in some way or shape or form. In a past life, whatever the case is, you did the things of that planet so well that in this lifetime it is becoming a part of you. It is who you are. So any planets in the first house are basically going to become a part of your identity. Literally, you can see that planet on your face. You can see it on your body, okay? You can see it if somebody has their Mars in the first house. house. Mars is about our masculine energy. Mars is about our sexuality. This person is going to embody Mars if they have their Mars in the first house. This person might be like sexually attractive, okay? This person might be a little bit muscular or just like physique. They have a physique because Mars is kind of like our athleticism, right? So when you have Mars in the first house, you might naturally be a little bit more like just alluring or just kind of like a little bit more athletic, or how you're built, it just puts itself out there. Sharp jawline, sharp features. Mars, that's what kind of Mars represents. You could even have a scar somewhere if you have Mars in the first house as well, you know, because Mars kind of does in certain cases represent those type of things. Any planet in your first house is going to affect your personality in a very strong way. So let's say somebody has their Pluto in their first house. I have my Pluto in my first house. People are going to sense the Pluto in the way that you put yourself out there. People may become obsessed with you, or you might be naturally an obsessive person. Pluto being in the first house, it also represents this certain level of intensity. So when you walk inside the room, people might sense that intensity all over your being. There's something about you that just draws people towards you. That's your Pluto popping out. And you could also scare people if your Pluto's in the first house. If you have your Jupiter in the first house, naturally you're going to be a really expansive person. You're going to be a really wise person naturally, and just a really optimistic person to be around. So any planet in your first house affects your personality in a very, you know, extraordinary way. And like I said, your first house is your identity, it's your sense of self, it's your physical appearance, and it's your goals in this lifetime. Where are you headed? The second house in astrology basically takes it up a notch. Okay, we know who we are, and once we get to the second house, we need to know what we value. We know who we are, we know we got our identity, but now what do we value? Where's our sense of self-worth? What do we want to own? Okay, because the second house deals with our physical possessions. It deals with our money, our ability to generate money, our ability to make money, okay? Our ability to have possessions. It is also our self-worth and our values. What do we value? What are the kind of things that we value or undervalue, whatever the case is? Any planets here in the second house can show us how we can make money. If somebody has their sun in the second house, this is gonna be a person who is going to be extremely focused on making money and generating wealth for themselves in this lifetime. If somebody has their Venus in the second house, they could actually make money through Venus. So they could actually be more inclined to make money through Venusian things, art, beauty, women. If somebody has their Mars in the second house of aggression and what we go after and how we get, like they're going to be driven to make money. They're going to be focused and motivated to make money and to build wealth for themselves in this lifetime. If somebody has Saturn in the second house, they're going to take money matters very seriously, and they're going to be more prone to saving their money and like really spend their time to build that money, and they don't mind being disciplined because that's what Saturn is going to. Saturn is like, you got to be disciplined there, you know what I'm saying? But you will also see some struggles or some delays, some setbacks and restrictions when it comes to your money situation when you do have Saturn in your second house as well. Okay, so basically any planet in the second house is going to represent how we can make money, where we make money, how we feel about money, and our values all in general. The third house is going to be about how we communicate, how we talk, our mental process, okay, and all of these type of things. It also represents our siblings, okay, the siblings that we had, the neighbors, our general like environment that we experienced when we were growing up is represented by the third house, as well as short distance journeys. Okay, short distance journeys. If you think about the third house, kind of like Gemini, which is the third sign of the zodiac, Geminis are known for being all over the place and going here and coming back, going here and coming back. And their house is represented in that type of way, where it does represent short distance travels of going one place, coming back, okay, going to the store, coming back home, going to your friend's house, coming back to your house, going back and forth, because that's what the third house represents. So any planets here in the third house are going to show us how we communicate to the public and how we talk to people, how we operate on a mental level, things that we like to talk about, how you analyze things, how you can be discriminatory towards things, okay, how you think in general. And it could also represent the type of siblings that that we had growing up and the relationship that we had to our siblings. The third house is also connected to marketing, media, and like I said before, communication, all forms of communication. So this is where we see writing, speaking, talking, and that type of stuff. So with planets here in the planets here in the third house, we can see someone who can actually be a very good communicator. Okay, if we have Sun in the third house, this is someone that was meant to shine in the field of communication or data analysis, marketing, one of these third housey type things. Or maybe it's even could represent somebody who could be someone who travels a lot in their community. Whatever the case is, we can see this being reflected in the third house. Our fourth house is going to represent how we grew up, because the fourth house, just when you think about Cancer, the fourth zodiac sign represents our home. It represents our mother. It represents the area where we basically had our childhood, our foundation. It's all the way at the bottom, right? And that sets the foundation for our entire chart when it comes to our foundation, our security, our childhood, how we grew up, how our family was, our homes, and our houses. That is what the fourth house represents. So any planet here can actually show us the type of family environment that we had, the connection that we had with our family. How good or how bad was our connection with our family or home, our ability to own property, our ability to have a beautiful home. Venus in the fourth house can signify someone who's really able to beautify their home, someone who can make their home environment beautiful. Or maybe your mom was beautiful, or maybe just like you had a beautiful connection with your mother or your family, whatever the case is when you were growing up. Mars here or Pluto here in the fourth house can kind of signify maybe this person had some issues with their family. Maybe their family life was a little bit hectic. Maybe there was some arguing or just some really transformative moments in their family life when they were growing up. Okay, if we have Saturn in the fourth house, this person could struggle with expressing their emotions, because the fourth house is also associated with our emotions and our feelings and our sensitivity, the things that really hit close to home to us. So with Saturn in the fourth house, Saturn is restriction. We can feel restricted when it comes to our fourth house. We can feel restricted when it comes to expressing our emotions. But like I said, the fourth house has everything to do with our security, our sense of self, our foundation, our childhood, and our family and our home environment. The fifth house, which is represented by Leo, it's Leo's house. This is the house of fun. This is the house of entertainment. This is the house of creativity, our creative nature, our sense of self when it comes to our creative self-expression. It's how we express ourselves through the arts, through our inner child, right? And also children. It can literally represent the kids that we may have in the future or how we feel about kids in general. It's also the house of romance, our romantic nature, casual situations, or just like the beginning of situations when you're falling in love and going into like the honeymoon phase. That's what the fifth house is all about. It's about fun, enjoyment in life, okay? So any planets in the fifth house can show us our creative potential. It could show how our kids might be in the future. It could show whether or not we want to have children, okay? It can show us where our talents are, because fifth house is kind of associated with talents, where our talents are, especially our creative talents, okay? If somebody had Jupiter in the fifth house, they have plenty of creative talents. They probably have a lot of creative talents, and they probably want to teach those things, okay? Because Jupiter is kind of like the teacher. It is our wisdom. So we have a lot of wisdom when it comes to the fifth house things. So you could probably share a lot of knowledge and information of the fifth house. Saturn in the fifth house, this is someone who actually could have issues surrounding children. Maybe they feel blocked from expressing their creativity. Maybe they feel blocked or shy or nervous about dancing, singing, or acting or talking. They think, oh no. And then one day when Saturn return happens, they realize, you know, I might actually low-key have a talent in singing or acting or dancing, and I'm going to actually work on it and really like go after it and be disciplined about it. Saturn in the fifth house energy. Okay, if someone has their sun in the fifth house, this is someone who naturally just shines, okay? They're naturally just a creative person. They have a lot of creative talents. They are really romantic. This is the type of person who shines in the fifth house arena. So Virgo's house, which is the sixth house, this is the house of our health as well as illness and disease and, you know, not being healthy. This is the house of work. This is the house of our daily routines, our mundane things. And like I said, it's the house of work. So this can tell us a lot about the job that we may have and the type of jobs that we'll have in this lifetime. This could tell us about how we are when it comes to our daily routines. Are we an organized type of person? Or are we disorganized and all over the place? Do we have Uranus in the 6th house and we just kind of do a bunch of different things and we're kind of just like, Neptune in the 6th house, we're all over the place when it comes to that. We don't really have a secure, organized foundation every single day. We kind of just do it as we may. Do we have Saturn in the 6th house where it's like we might have to work a lot harder than a lot of other people to get the things that we want? Do we feel like we're always kind of having a lot of pressure, right? If we have Moon in the 6th house, is our emotions always kind of depending on our health, or is our health always kind of dependent on our emotions? Like, I got my Moon in the 6th house, and if I get into a negative funk, it literally is reflected in my health and my bodily health. Like, I might not, if I mentally don't feel good, my body physically will not feel good as well. So it's almost like, yeah, like you gotta have that in order. Whatever the case is, planets in the 6th house can show us our work environment. Planets in the 6th house can show us our daily routines. Planet in the 6th house can also even show us the type of small animals we could have in this lifetime as well, and the connection that we could have with our small animals. You know what I'm saying? I have my Moon in the 6th. I really feel so emotionally connected to small animals. Every small animal that I've had in my life has really helped me at an emotional level, and I almost have an intuitive connection with small animals and my pets and stuff like that. You know, you can see these things through the 6th house. The 6th house is also a place where we can have a lot of challenges and on a daily basis, like our daily struggles, our daily grinds, and like I said, our work and our employees and stuff like that, our colleagues and stuff of that nature. So you can get a lot from the 6th house as well. The 7th house is everything to do with our partnerships. It's Libra's house. So it deals with partnership. It deals with other people. So other people in your life are basically seen from the 7th house. 7th house is also marriage, it's commitment, and our committed relationships. So any planets in the 7th house can actually indicate the type of person that we're going to be committed to for a long time. And it could even kind of indicate the marriage partner, the marriage itself, and the type of people you're going to have a tendency to attract in your life. It could also represent business partners and just any type of partnership in general, the type of clients that we can also pull in and how we can pull in those clients as well. We can all see this from the 7th house. The 7th house, if you think about it, is the direct opposite of our 1st house. So it almost can also represent our shadow self, or our more hidden self, that the part of us that we don't really see until another person comes along and shows us. That we can also see this by looking at the 7th house. Let's say someone had their Mars in the 7th house. This could indicate that the partner that they're going to be with, or the people that they're going to attract, they're going to be Mars. So this is going to be someone who could be extremely driven. This could be someone who has a lot of energy. This could be someone who is an athlete. This could be someone who is very focused. This could be someone who also on the negative side could be a little volatile. Somebody could be a little aggressive. So it really depends on how it's all being aspected and all that type of stuff. But you could basically see the type of people that you're going to attract into your life, and vice versa when you have the 7th house, when you have anything in the 7th house. The 7th house is really just going to show you how you like to relate with others and to others, and how you generally have been used to doing relationships and what you want out of relationships. Okay, so the 8th house, we taking it up a notch, you know, from the 7th house with a partnership. 8th house is the house of intimacy. It's what happens after you get committed to someone. It's intimacy, so it's sex, it's shared resources, it's taxes and stuff like that. 8th house is also associated with secrets. Okay, the secrets that we hold in this lifetime, the secret parts of us and our psyche, our psychology, okay? It also represents the taboo things, okay? Taboo things, things people are scared to talk about, things people are afraid to admit or afraid to really like talk about in public. The 8th house is everything to do with things that happen underneath, like in the house, in the dark, okay? 8th house is also the occult. Okay, so magic, astrology, spirituality, witchcraft, spell work, psychic work, healing. These are all seen through the 8th house. You know, we're getting into that energetic healing and, you know, really getting into spirituality. That's when we start dealing with the 8th house. 8th house is also death and rebirth. It can show us how we die, okay? The 8th house can also show us how we are reborn, what is going to revitalize us. Any planet in the 8th house is going to show us an area of our life where we're going to experience a lot of transformation. For example, I had Venus in the 8th house, and my relationships, which best represents Venus, are often very transformative, very intense, and very, very just, woo, it changes my life in a lot of different ways, right? Venus in the 8th house also, I love 8th house things. I love 8th house topics, and the 8th house is where I really thrive, okay? Sun in the 8th house, this is where someone also is going to really, really thrive. They're going to thrive off of being able to shine light on the dark of the 8th house. They can bring light to the 8th house. They can really magnify the darkness in other people. So the things that other people are afraid to admit to themselves, that Sun in the 8th person is going to step into that person's life and showcase it and bring light to it, so they can actually start to deal with their psychological traumas and issues. These are all 8th house type things, okay? It is the house of sudden events, good or bad. So we can see a lot of huge events and shifts happening that are revolving around our 8th house. So any planet here, like I said, it's going to show where we do have a certain level of karmic issues with, or transformation, how we merge, okay? How we merge with another, okay? And the things that we like that are hidden. The 8th house is also a place where we deal, like I said, with our psychological issues. And the 8th house is also a place where we deal with our sexuality and our sexual nature. So any planets in the 8th house can also indicate our sexual nature and how we express our sexuality and stuff of that nature as well. Okay, so the 9th house is our faith. It's philosophy. It's our belief system. It's our spirituality. It's religion. It's higher education and our connection to all that is, in the sense of how we believe all of this is possible. What is our faith? Okay, what does that look like to us? And the 9th house is also associated with foreign places and foreign cultures, foreign people, and long distance travel. Like I was saying before, the 3rd house is about short distance travel. It's like going to the store, coming back, okay? Going out to eat and then coming back home, and just short distances, right? Within your city or your community or your town. But the opposite of the 3rd is the 9th. So we're talking about long distance travel, going to different countries, going across the country, you know what I'm saying? Traveling very far, different states, okay, across the world even. This is what the 9th house is all about. I have my sun in the 9th house. If you have your sun in the 9th house, this is a place where you're going to shine in these places. Okay, you could be the type of person that's always traveling, always on the go, always exploring and expanding your horizons mentally, physically, and spiritually. You feed off of knowledge. You love to learn about different things, and you love to create your own philosophy in this life, and you have your own individualized philosophy that you're very proud of, because that's what your sun represents, right? We're the area of your life where we're proud of. We have a little bit of ego even when, you know what I'm saying? But this is 9th house has also been said to be associated with astrology, so you could even be drawn to astrology and just other forms of higher learning. You could even be someone who's really religious even, you know? It's spirituality in general. So you could be somebody who's very spiritual, you could be someone who's very religious, or whatever the case is. You could like to study religions and really just like to explore what this world has to offer. You're naturally the adventurer type of person, and you could see this wherever. Like Mercury in the 9th, you like to talk about your beliefs, you like to talk about spirituality, and you like to communicate in a very big, expansive way. You're not going to be the person that likes to look at all the details. You like the big picture. You like to look at how everything connects. You are here to understand faith and how to express that outwardly to the world. Maybe you write about it, maybe you talk about it, maybe you make videos about it, but that's what you're supposed to do. Maybe even make a business, because Mercury represents business. Venus in the 9th, you love travel, you love foreign countries, you love foreign people, you love it all, okay? You're very into those type of things, and actually you could bring wealth into your life by exploring your ninth house type of thing. Or Saturn in the ninth house, maybe you take your ninth house responsibilities very seriously. Okay, you take your belief system very seriously. You could have had strict beliefs when you were growing up. Maybe perhaps you grew up in a family that was super like religious or super Christian and was like, yeah, this is right and this is the only right way. Anything else is the devil's work. And you could have had that type of experience when you were growing up with Saturn in the ninth, but then as you evolve or as you get older, you might actually change your beliefs around, and you can become serious about your beliefs, right? Disciplined about your beliefs and stuff of that nature. But like I said, the ninth house is basically higher learning, higher education, and also the law. You know, a person with a lot of ninth house placements can also be indicative of a lawyer as well. So yeah, that's what the ninth house represents. Okay, like I was saying before, our fourth house was our family and our private lives, right? What happens inside of the home and our home itself. The 10th house is the complete opposite. It's the opposite of the fourth, right? It sits at the top of our chart. So it shows us our public lives, our public reputation, our accomplishments, okay? What we're going to be known for, our fame even, the fame that we have in this lifetime, and our public persona, right? The thing that we project out into the world and how people are going to know us by, you know, in that public arena. So any planets in the 10th house can kind of show you the type of thing you're going to be known for. You could even represent your career, because the 10th house is also associated with your career and your career environment. So you can kind of see the type of careers that you may like, or the kind of career that you are destined to, you know, do and be in this lifetime, what you're going to be known for, how you can become famous, how you can basically achieve in this life, how you can like garner your achievements and stuff of that nature. 10th house is also going to show you, like I was saying before, your public persona, how people are going to perceive you, and the connection that you're going to have with the public can also be seen with the 10th house. So like I said, someone with their sun in the 10th house, this is going to be someone who is always going to end up in positions of authority, and that's where they belong. They don't belong working for someone else. They belong to be the boss. Okay, they were supposed to be the boss in some type of way, in some type of fashion. And even if they are going to be in a job, this is the type of person that always ends up being the manager, or always ends up just getting the promotion, because that's where they're meant to be. That's where the sun is shining. Venus in the 10th, the same type of flavor. You know, naturally you're going to be known for Venusian things. You could be known for being a really charming person, a really beautiful person, someone who is also very luxurious or rich and wealthy. This could be seen with Venus in the 10th house. A beautiful career, a very beautiful career with Venus in the 10th house, right? Any planets in the 10th, Saturn in the 10th. Saturn, you could struggle when it comes to your career. You could struggle when it comes to getting to places of authority. You could feel like it takes even harder for you to get recognized. You could feel like you put in all this work and you never see the results, or it seems like you have to put in a lot more work than other people to get the results and to be recognized in this life. But ultimately, you are also eventually going to get to a place of power and authority in your life, and that was a part of your destiny. But you know, you had to hustle. You had to first learn how to hustle, you know, with Saturn in the 10th there. But eventually this could definitely be seeing someone who is a powerhouse as they grow, because Saturn gets better with age. But any planets in the 10th house really just kind of show us where we garner power and authority, how we garner power and authority, and what our reputation is in this lifetime, on our ability to achieve fame and fortune and recognition. And it's the opposite of fourth. Like I said, the fourth is the mother. The 10th house definitely usually is associated with our father. The 11th house, which is Aquarius' house, you know, 11th house is associated with our groups. Okay, groups of all kinds, our friendships, our social networks, our communities, our online fan bases and networks and stuff of that nature. It's also our hopes, wishes, and dreams and manifestation. And I've also heard that the 11th house is also associated with astrology, as well as the internet and technology, advancement and stuff of that nature. So any planets here in the 11th house can kind of show us the type of groups that we're going to be a part of, and the type of communities that we're going to build, and the type of friends that we're going to have, and the type of dreams, hopes, wishes, and dreams that we're going to have, and goals, right? Our inspirations, how we get inspired, okay? And how influential we're going to be when it comes to the community, because 11th house is associated with the masses of people, even just groups of people in general. So when we see someone with sun in the 11th, this is someone who could be very popular. Like, naturally, it's very easy for them to be popular because, I mean, their identity is basically being formed when it comes to groups. So they can almost identify with groups, and this is somebody who's going to easily identify with groups of whatever, you know, like-minded individuals. They can find their power there by somehow creating this group of like-minded individuals and taking over the world, or just really being able to put yourself out there and being known for that. Beyonce has her sun in the 11th. She has a strong connection with having a very, very dope fan base, a very like close-knit fan base. You know, that's what you can see when we have some sun in the 11th. You're able to really connect people and bring people together, you know, because that's what the masses is all about. So in the 11th, you could also see someone who could be an influencer because you're able to garner an audience. 11th house is the internet and groups of people. So this is someone who could basically, you know, really create an audience for themselves and really create something big in that type of way on the internet. Technology, maybe this is someone who's very interested in technology and stuff of that nature, and you can see that with all the different planets there. Mercury in 11th, maybe you talk to a lot of people. Okay, freaking Venus in the 11th, you have a lot of beautiful connections and a lot of beautiful friends, and even people in, you know, places of authority. You might have a lot of like, you have a good social network or whatever the case is that can actually help you gain, because the 11th house is also associated with gains and how we gain from our 10th house. Okay, so any planets here can also show us how we gain wealth and riches and resources and how we make our dreams come true. Jupiter in the 11th house, a very beautiful placement as well. You have an abundance of connections, an abundance of friends, an abundance of dreams, and the more dreams you have, especially if there's other things that are here in the chart that can actually show us that you are about like going after your dreams as well. You can see this in a chart of someone who's going to be massively successful. And last but not least, the 12th house, okay, associated with Pisces energy. We started with the first house, the house of self, and we got all the way down to the 12th house, the house of everything else, literally everything else that exists but yourself. It is the understanding that everything that we see in front of us and everything that we see around us is ourselves. It is just a reflection of ourselves. So in the 12th, we see a loss of ego, a loss of sense of self, because we realize that we are connected to everything. We realize that we are connected to everything in the sense that we're all made of the same energy and matter, right? So that's what the 12th house talks about. It also talks about everything we cannot see, the unseen realm, things beyond this physical plane. So when we talk about that, we're talking about true spirituality, okay? Being able to be connected to things that we cannot even see. So spirit guides, the spirit world, our psychic abilities can be seen here. The ability to connect psychically to other people. It is our subconscious mind and our unconscious mind, and it is also the collective unconscious. So when we see someone with sun in the 12th house, this could be someone who is a very spiritual person, someone who has very, very latent and dope gifts when it comes to spirituality and psychic ability. Somebody with Mercury in the 12th house, same thing. This is someone who can literally communicate to the 12th house and through the 12th house. So they can communicate to unseen beings, so entities. This is someone who can have a really strong connection to the psychic world and have a lot of psychic gifts, okay? 12th house is also the house of isolation and foreign countries. So when we have someone with a lot of 12th house placements as well, this is going to be someone who values their alone time and could like also isolate themselves. They can also sometimes be shy in some certain cases, but sometimes they just like their alone time, because literally these people are usually taking in the energies of the unconscious. If they go out with groups of people or in places that are extreme, there's a lot of energy going on, this person is literally taking in the collective unconscious emotions of everyone that they're surrounded with. This is the empath. And sometimes they can take on other people's things because, like I said, the first house is about our boundaries, but the 12th house has no boundaries. It is about sacrifice. It is about loss. There is a loss of boundaries here. So naturally, this person becomes one with their environment. So you see these people, they need isolation a lot of the times, because without that isolation, they take on everybody's stuff, feelings, and emotions, and it can literally become a part of their psyche and their identity for the temporary moment. Especially when we see placements like Moon in the 12th, or Mercury in the 12th, or Sun in the 12th. We want to make sure that we are cleansing our body and we develop some type of psychic boundary. Because without that, we can have people using and abusing us, because the 12th house is sacrifice. It's also karma, okay? It's karma. A lot of karma can be seen with the 12th house, and a lot of karmic situations can be seen when it comes to the different planets in our 12 houses, right? And it also could represent even hidden talents. Any planets that you have in the 12th house could be hidden talents in your life that you can develop, and these talents can even come from a past life. Something unseen, something that is distant, right? 12th house people can find power in distant places. You know, they found power in going to a different country by themselves. They find power in isolation, being distanced from other people. They find power with being able to connect with the spirit world and the spiritual realm. This is Pisces-like energy. And that is the 12th house of astrology. Yeah, those were the 12 houses of astrology. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you check out where all your planets are placed in the different houses and what you can gain from those, and learn more about yourself and your life and what you can expect there. And also, if you want a personal reading with me, then you can go to my link down in the description box and book a reading with me. You can do it live, one-on-one. We having a phone call, or you can get a pre-recorded reading and I'll send it to you within like the week or so, whatever the case is. So definitely check that out and have a beautiful day. Like this video up, support your girl, and yes, bye bye now.